no worries. Alan, make sure you're right behind. What's up, Alfredo?
Nice to see you. Everybody ready? All right, I'll give you a second. I'll give you a second. Yeah, I will, no problem. Okay. Tell me when. Yeah, exactly. Ready over there?
Plugging in the mic right now.
Yeah, make sure you get our card. Guys ready?
Yeah, that's perfect.
Hold on, one more. Oh, I like that, sure. All set?
Thank you.
You're welcome. Well, hey everybody, my name is Ed Martin, and I am the president of the Phyllis Schlafly Eagles, our organization which is based in St. Louis and has an office here in Washington, D.C. I'm one of the organizers, one of the people helping with the Stop the Steal, stopthesteal.us, stopthestealcampaign.com. Actually, it's a little better site right now. It had some issues. But all across the country, Americans have been looking at what's happening, and they have had two reactions. One reaction is that they need to get to the bottom of the constitutional process. It's not what Van Jones says on CNN about what he thinks is important. He thinks concessions are important. The Constitution is important. And we have seen so many problems with the election that we need to get to the bottom of it. And the second thing the American people are saying is, who can they trust? They look out at the media, they look at the websites and the internet and social media, and they say, who can I trust? Because they notice censorship, they notice shadow banning, and then they notice egregious misconduct on the part of our major cable providers especially. And so here we are where Fox News is based and other entities are based, and the reason why we're here is because the American people are sick of what they've seen happen. For months and months and months, cable outlets like Fox News paid pollsters to tell the American people lies. And over and over and over, we were told this was going to happen, that was going to happen. And on election night, Fox News called races they had no business calling. That Fox News made decisions that shaped how the country saw the election to this moment today. And we're seeing today, finally, Alaska's being called. When people knew that. On the election night, Texas should have been called, Florida should have been called. And what we came to believe is the people in charge of these institutions, not unlike the other ones we'd seen be diminished, are also in the tank, also not telling us the truth, also lying to us. And Fox News, they've covered up, they've got hoarding up here, they've covered up their logo. They should be ashamed of what they did. Fox News tried to take from the American people a piece of what our process is, and thank goodness that the American people did not decide we would listen to Fox News or CNN or anybody else. We would instead rely on the thing that has gotten America through all of this, our Constitution, the rule of law, and the common sense of the American people. So today we stand here. Tomorrow and the next day, the day after that, we'll be marching in Washington, marching in state legislatures. Every hour, we find more irregularities in the system, in the elections. And now the cable news and the outlets, they say, don't tell us unless you can prove widespread fraud. If one American had their vote taken away wrongfully, it ought to be a 5-alarm fire for the people that say they care about the Constitution. And they don't. And now we don't need widespread fraud to see what happened. We had targeted fraud that went about finding how to change what people voted for and wanted in this country. And so all of these outlets that said they were fair and balanced, that said they were all about democracy dies in darkness, or whatever that phrase was, the fact is that we the people are fed up. And at the end of 2020, we stand at the end of a period where the institutions that were supposed to be truthful and honest, the newspapers, the television outlets, they've been shown to be broken and corrupt. And we the people won't take it, we won't stand for it, and more important than anything else, we know we have a check. The check on the tyranny of big tech and cable TV and others is our Constitution and the rule of law. And so we won't stop. You've seen over the weekend, Parler exploded as an outlet, Newsmax is exploding as an outlet. People are going to find places where they can test and know the truth. Whether it's Breitbart that has been delivering news for years now, and others, that's what we have to find. So we're excited about it. I'm again part of this movement. We have hundreds of thousands of people that will be active on Saturday. We'll see how many are here, and there's now counter-protests formed. But I can tell you this, the American people don't expect the people that love the country to hide behind boarded up buildings or hide their logos behind plastic bags because they're afraid to stand up for what's right. And that's what we're doing. So I'm happy to take some questions. Yes, sir.
Yeah, Ed, you mentioned hundreds of thousands of people. I see about 4, maybe 5 people here.
Yep.
Where is everybody?
Oh, they're all across the country. Have you been to 32,500 people were at protests on Saturday and Sunday. So, look, if you want to measure, what we care about is measuring the votes, not measuring what you tell me is important. So here we are.
Well, it seems like kind of a low energy person.
No, I wouldn't drag Jeb Bush into it or Joe Biden. Joe Biden took a lid at 12 noon. He wants to be president of the free world. He took a lid at 12 noon. Listen, we know what energy looks like, and it's not Joe Biden.
How many people are you expecting on Saturday? There's a lot of talk about, lots of people here. What do you think?
We'll see. I have no idea. We'll see. I hope it's millions, but we'll see. What I know is mobilizing across America are millions and millions of people that are fed up with the broker system. And so we are now in a mass movement in this country that won't tolerate the people that say, just take our word for it. We're the institutions you can rely on, not anymore.
But if you get a small turnout on Saturday, is that the end of the
No, it's not the end of it. No, that's the same trick. Again, this is the same trick that the establishment says, tell us what the measurement is so we can tell you when to give up on the Constitution. The end of this process includes the constitutional requirements, and then we'll see where we are. And I pledged this before. I say it to Whoopi Goldberg, wherever she is, yelling at people, lecturing Americans. After the process that we the people put in place has played out, I'll be happy to accept the election. I won't be like Hillary Clinton sitting around months after the election saying it's illegitimate. I'll accept the election. Will Whoopi Goldberg accept the election? If it turns out that the fraud that's happened changes states, and we're back here and we're saying the next president is a second-term President Trump, will she accept it? We'll see. Next question. Yes, sir.
So you're focused here on Fox. Is your position that Fox is sort of biased against the president, or just that they were kind of too quick to concede, that they were too weakly pro the president?
No. My assertion of what the American people know is that the entities, the institutions that said they would tell us the truth are not truth tellers. In other words, Fox was trying to do fair and balanced, and they were trying, they said, and they went right into the same places that the others did. I'm not saying, by the way, Fox was perfect before this, but the simple fact is when you have partisan media trying to tell the American people what to think, the power of that is important. Look, I did a stint at CNN. I was flown up from St. Louis to CNN every week. I was on every night with Anderson Cooper and those guys. They make money hand over fist, and they use it to manage the messaging to try to convince the American people of something. Now, that's their right, but don't pretend you're fair and balanced. Don't pretend you're giving it to us straight when we now know you lied about the polls, you lied about Hunter Biden, you lied about what went on, all these kinds of things have gone on, and now say, trust us, concede and go back to your little corner. That's not what we the people will do. It's not how we started, and thankfully, that's not the system we have to rely on.
Did you have feelings on Neil Cavuto turning away from the press secretary's press conference?
I think it was offensive to the American people. Again, I think it's offensive that the covers the New York Times headline that Wolf Blitzer retweets is something like "No election fraud found." Give me a break. I mean, it's just a lie. It's a lie to a certain group of people to condition them. And here's the last lie, one of the greatest lies ever perpetrated on the American people. Joe Biden said repeatedly that Donald Trump was like Hitler and his followers were like Nazis in his ads and in his campaign rhetoric. That's one of the most offensive things that's ever been done to the American people, and therefore we're not going to take it. We're not going to sit back and say, oh, Van Jones says concede, we should concede. That doesn't make any sense. And whether it's Neil Cavuto cutting away from the President of the United States press secretary or anybody else, it's not the way it should work, and we don't have to tolerate it, thankfully. Other questions?
You mentioned censorship. What kind of censorship are you guys seeing?
Well, look, StopTheSteal.us, we've had our Facebook page taken down. We've had our website taken down. Twitter suspended it. Jack Dorsey got involved and unsuspended it because he realized it was a movement that was about empowering the people, I think. So what we're seeing, and it does, you don't have to talk to a conservative for long. The President of the United States is having his tweets managed by Twitter. In what world is that appropriate? There's a market for the ideas, there's a marketplace, but censoring, so it's very clear. And again, what the American people are wondering is, who are we supposed to trust when you keep telling us the institutions are fair and honest? Dr. Fauci said, never wear masks. Was he lying because he wanted to instruct us? Maybe. He said, but don't wear masks. Now he says wear masks, right? So, and my point is, hey, don't tell me to trust you when you keep burning us. And the American people feel that, and especially now we feel it. You know, if you go to social media, if Benford's law, the statistical analysis that says there were irregularities, is not true, then hey, how many liberals are at MIT? Refute it. Instead, they take down posts because they don't like it. Again, the American people, thankfully, we have a system that will save us from the bullies like this. Yeah.
Go ahead. You keep talking about truth and lies. Can you just explain how you represent the people when the six of you standing here?
Well, have you tracked it? How'd you get notified about this?
I saw it on Twitter.
Well, so I'm the head of an organization that has members all across the country, the Phyllis-Schlafly Eagles. You can check that out. I'm in a coalition with Stop the US. Is the way you judge? This is classic sort of institutional, we'll tell you what to do. You got the money and the power, you tell me because there's only 8 of us? No, well, I'm answering a question. It's a nonsensical question that's meant to demean people. Go look now, go back and don't be lazy. Go back and look at who I am, who I represent, who we're working with on the coalition. Say to yourself, there's millions of people that are interested in this issue, and then say to yourself, oh, because I'll judge what it's nonsense. It's a typical distraction. Yes, sir.
So when an outlet says something that you don't like,
I'm sorry.
When an outlet says something that you don't like, it becomes rogue. It becomes
no. That's I mean, you talk about like
because
the great thing about this president is he taught us to say directly how full of crap you are, because that's not what I said ever. I'm happy to have anybody endorse anything. I don't care. But don't tell me it's the truth and I'm supposed to take it. And then don't pretend that we the people are going to be naive about what you're doing. Why is it? Just tell me, you answer me the question. Why is it no one seriously covered Hunter Biden's laptop? At least to say what it was. The Biden campaign never refuted it. Why is it that right now we don't have serious journalism looking at the major improprieties in Philadelphia? Instead, you're talking about what? Biden's picks for the education department? That's not how the process works. And by the way, when they write the history of this period, they will say one of the great collusions is not the fraud in the lies about Russia. That was a great collusion between the left and the Democrats. It will be, why did the media continue to tell us that polls that were just plain lies, the polls were lies over and over again, and they told us they were true? Why did they do that? I think I know. But we'll get to the bottom of it. And again, we the people have this great process to keep going to make sure we get it right.
What changes specifically would you like to see come from the mainstream media?
Well, at this point, we need more outlets. I mean, we need more outlets for people to be able to watch. I think that's developing. But I also think that, we need to know more clearly. In my opinion, it's easy for me to see why Fox cares to change. Fox is chasing, most of these entities are chasing money. It's not against the law. It's a policy preference. So we need more options, is one thing. And I think the American people should choose to break away from a lot of the places that they have relied on for information before and go to other outlets and try to move that way. Other questions?
I know last week there was a lot of criticism of Fox for calling Arizona. You felt like they called it too early. And now, a week later, Biden's still ahead in Arizona. So, I mean, you guys think Fox was right to call it too early?
No.
No. Okay.
I mean, the criticism is how it was handled. Go back and look at the election night coverage. The timing of it, the gap, the number of spaces. I mean, it became a pattern. Again, if you're sitting and you're watching Fox and others deliver poll after poll telling you something that's patently a lie now we know. Where's the front page coverage of the debacle of the polling companies? And the amount of money those men and women made to take money from whom? They take money from the Fox and CNN to do polls, and then CNN and Fox take money from the campaigns to run ads. You see this is incestuous. Where's the coverage of that? How many millionaires were minted on the lies of the polls? And if the polls were somehow incorrect, where's the coverage of how they were incorrect? Nate Silver is still saying he knows what he's doing, when he clearly doesn't know what he's doing. And instead, we've moved on to what? We've moved on to whether Donald Trump, as the chief executive, can fire or not fire employees, which has never made sense. And my point is, how do we trust you if you don't cover the things that are obvious to us, and they're not? And that starts with, for example, in this election with the polling. It starts with Joe Biden and his campaign, just lack of coverage. And then now we're saying to ourselves, where's the coverage of the real problem? Again, if you want to disprove our questions about the election, then go about disproving it. Don't tell us to shut up and sit down. The American people have heard that for far too long. That's why they're so amped up. Any more questions?
Who do y'all think are the most biased anchors at Fox? I see we've got a Joe Cavuto sign in the back. I mean, do we think Tucker's in on it? I mean, what do y'all think?
I'd rather not pick one or the other. I think it's a systemic problem. I think that the system is flawed. Fox News ought to take a look at it in the mirror, and so should the others. But I don't matter. The names don't matter to us. I mean, what matters is getting people's attention. Getting people's attention to say, we the people have a problem. And understand, please, in a democracy like ours, but really, somebody's here from France, or wherever you are, when the masses of people start to disbelieve in the institutions so profoundly, it's a very dangerous time. And it's a great thing in America is we have a check on that. And the check is the Constitution. It's not boarding up your buildings for rioting. That shouldn't be where we are. I understand they make a decision. But we have this Constitution, the rule of law. And again, when we play that process out, I hope that the Democrats accept it, just like the Republicans. And if the Republicans don't, we can meet back here and I'll say the same thing. We should accept the elections as the system goes forward. But we shouldn't be told, be quiet. Van Jones said, if we use the Constitution, we're committing a legal coup. Listen to what I'm saying. This is one of the leading leftists on CNN. Van Jones says, if you use the Constitution and the rule of law, you're committing a legal coup. So shut up, he didn't say that, and sit down in America. We the people are not going to take that, and we're not going to take it. And the idea that CNN doesn't turn around and say, Van Jones spoke for himself, but that really wasn't appropriate. We don't advocate language like that. I can assure you. AOC makes a list. Tell me what you would have done if Ted Cruz said, let's make a list of people of the Obama administration, and nobody said, absolutely not. If Joe Biden doesn't have the courage or the wisdom or the character to say it, he should have at least sent out one of his people to say it. And the reason why is because I think they're deeply flawed, and I think that their campaign was based on a premise that was hateful and un-American. And so I don't worry about them. I worry about us, and I know we'll go through the process and make sure we do well. So thank you all for coming. I appreciate it.
One more question.
Yes,
How
sir.
far are you going to get in order to stop this steal that you call?
How far?
How
The
far are you going to go?
Constitution and the rule of law, right? So we know the deadlines, we know the dates. If you look at your Constitution, we're talking the second week of December. We'll have a sense. If there's problems beyond that, we'll have a sense how to do it. So I think what you're going to find is, have you noticed every day, again, it's like Hunter Biden's laptop. Every day something comes out that no one disputes, but the media says, don't look at that. I'm going to hide that under the couch with Hunter Biden's laptop. But here's the problem. The American people are hearing it over and over again, and it's not the media that gets to decide. It's the courts, the rule of law, and the Constitution. So I think you're noticing that the Democrats assumed we would all fall for the Van Jones coup, where we're told to concede and we wouldn't, and we didn't fall for it. And we the people aren't gonna, because we have something better than CNN or Van Jones, and it's called the Constitution. So thank you all for coming. Good job, guys. Good job. Huh?
We didn't have 6, we had 8.
That's right, 8. But don't advertise it fairly. Yeah. Not really. You got some there. That's good enough. Done. I talked some more questions. I'll ask you. Sure. Whatever.